Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Peter coming at you through the tubes of the internet. Today, taking a look at the latest release from Creeper, an EP called American Noir. I'm excited to discuss and glad you could join.
Fast Facts.
American Noir, released July 30th, 2021 via Roadrunner Records, is the sixth studio EP from Southampton, England-based glam rockers Creeper. The group currently consists of 5 members: dual vocalists Will Gould and Hannah Greenwood, guitarist Ian Miles, bassist Sean Scott, and drummer Jake Fogarty, who only joined the band recently and doesn't actually perform on this recording.
Backstory.
Creeper have been consistently dialing up the theatrical aspects of their sound over the course of their 7-year run, starting out with a fairly straightforward pop-punk approach, but leaning further and further into glammy rock opera extravagance with each subsequent release. And though Gould's lyricism leans heavily on morbid, gothic imagery, the group also maintain a great tongue-in-cheek sense of humor, playing it straight lyrically, but often being so over-the-top dramatic that tunes veer into the absurd. Creeper's latest release, American Noir, continues the story from their previous full-length, Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, picking the story up after the death of the album's protagonist, Ro, and handing off primary vocal duties to keyboardist Hannah Greenwood, who plays the surviving character, Annabelle. The band don't branch out too far from their established sound on this brief outing, but they still managed to lay down several cool tunes and wrap up the current story arc in a satisfying way.
Track-by-track analysis.
This album has 8 tracks and clocks in at 19 minutes. That sounds somewhat long for an EP, but the track count's padded out by 3 numbered interludes, leaving only 5 actual songs. The lyricism throughout is simplistic, but each cut has its own distinct sound, varying in intensity and alternating between vocalists.
Track 1, Midnight Militia.
The album's intro features a poetry reading in a heavily distorted voice, where glitchy tones give the feel of an intercepted broadcast from another dimension. This track harkens back to the skits on Creeper's last release, and the overly dramatic performance is right in line with their usual MO. Creeper keep the sensationalism maxed out even on these transitional cuts, and that always-on approach is one of their best qualities.
My American Noir.
Track 2, Midnight.
As the sun descends over fields of snow.
Sprightly piano notes kick this tune off with a thin instrumental backing, but it's only a few seconds before the full band jump into the mix, with Greenwood's vocals leading the charge. The call and response alternation between her and Gould throughout this cut gets at the lusty dynamic of the pair, with lines falling over themselves in a race to profess who's more hot and heavy for the other. The couple are bubbling with desire, despite the world crumbling around them and the constant pursuit of the gods trying to tear them apart. This is just a really towering cut all around. The vocals are delivered with comically huge amounts of swagger, and a shredding guitar solo adds to the anthemic tone late in the track. This tune hooked me instantly as a lead single, and I think it can hang with the best songs in Creeper's catalog.
Come on, baby. Take me now,
Track 3, America at Night.
America at night, under halogen light.
Creeper calmed things down for track 3 and focused lyrically on the soullessness of the land of the free, painting America as a vapid abyss where everything gets reduced to consumerism.
She's Coca-Cola red, and I'm Pepsi-Cola blue.
The repetitive chorus here is just 2 lines: "There's a hole in my heart, and here comes the dark." But that simplistic approach really conveys all that needs to be said. The only light source that mitigates the dark in this tune is McDonald's signage on the horizon, and that's still dark, just in its own metaphorical way. The cut ends with Hannah screaming into the void, and the drama's maxed out along with her strained delivery. Creeper have the chops to keep things interesting even with just their vocal performances, and this is another great cut.
Track 4, Ghosts Over Calvary.
Here, Hannah Greenwood takes on solo lead vocal duties as Creeper craft their most show-tunesy cut of the release. Lyrics throw out an unending barrage of goth cliches, from burning candles to midnight rain to moonlit gallows. They ramp the B-movie camp to the max, and Greenwood's delivery is pure stage show cheese. Creeper are the masters of using corniness as an intentional device within their songwriting, and here I think they really nail that tone. The tune's goofy as hell, but serves its purpose perfectly. Several lines here are reprised on the closer, Damned and Doomed, so they get a chance to shine in a more somber cut, and work well to create a cohesive running theme despite the album's short runtime. Another great song.
Track 5, The Drowning Room.
This is just a short instrumental leading into
Track 6, One of Us.
Girl, when you showed up here, there was no blood left to drain.
As the record starts winding down, Gould & Co. craft a tune about outsiders sticking together. Likely borrowing a line from the early 1930s film Freaks, Creeper described the in-group between them and the listener. This tune truly does feel like the end of the line for Roe and Annabelle's story, with lines about the end of the world and the pair having their final kiss. The strings that close this cut are the only instrumental aspect that really stuck out to me. They're pretty and have a cinematic quality. I'd like to see Creeper delve into these types of arrangements further on future releases. Overall, I felt like this tune is just okay, but the inclusive tone in the lyricism feels punk in a cool way, and I think this would be a fun one live.
Track 7, Damned and Doomed.
Let me hold your head as the world burns.
Greenwood's crooning vocals here give a really intimate vibe, as she combines horniness with apocalyptic themes in a way that only Creeper could pull off.
Fumble with your belt as the ice caps melt.
This closer feels like the end of a major story arc in Creeper's discography, but it also just kind of feels like the end of existence in a much broader sense. We're all damned and doomed on a planet that's cooked past the point of no return, and this dreamy, melancholy cut is a fitting soundtrack for that downfall. I love that this EP gave Greenwood lots to do vocally, and I think she carried both the heavy and chiller tunes without missing a beat. This cut plays to Creeper's sentimental strengths, and I think it's a pretty awesome closer.
So kiss me hard the way you do.
Track 8, Frozen Night.
I guess technically this is the closer. It's an instrumental that seems kinda unnecessary.
Verdict.
Overall, I like this album a lot. Creeper aren't reinventing the wheel here, but they've served up a nice helping of slop to hold fans over until their next major release. If these tunes were truly outtakes from the last album's sessions, then that's pretty impressive, to think these were throwaway tracks salvaged from the cutting room floor. I'm glad these tunes saw the light of day. Since this is just an EP, I'm not going to rate it with a numerical score, but I will give a solid thumbs up and say this release is definitely worth checking out.
Here comes the dawn. Oh, here comes the dawn. There's a hole in my heart. And here comes the dawn.
So that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the record. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the release, my critique, or the review format in general. Making this is a lot of work, but also fun, and definitely worth it if it helps some people wrap their head around the record. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
What the hell does Google Goo mean?
We don't know. Google Goo.